The grand assembly hall hummed with the low-frequency vibrations of 100 different species conversing in their native tongues. Holographic star maps flickered above the central podium, casting shifting blue light across the domed chamber of shimmering alloy. Floating pods arranged in concentric circles held delegates from across the Galactic Federation, insectoid Zephyrians with their crystalline bodies, hulking Vorak with bioluminescent veins pulsing beneath thick hides, gelatinous Zenthians undulating in their containment fields. Commander Elias Vance adjusted his dress uniform's collar as he waited at the central podium, his cybernetic right hand flexing unconsciously. The scar over his left eye itched under the harsh lighting. He was the only human in the chamber, and the weight of 1,000 alien stares pressed down on him like gravity. "Commander Vance," boomed Overseer Krell, his massive Vorak frame towering over the assembly from his elevated platform. Bioluminescent veins flared crimson as he spoke. "The Galactic Architectural Guild has completed its assessment of your species' infrastructure. The findings are concerning." A holographic display flickered to life above the podium, showcasing schematics of human warships, orbital stations, and planetary defenses. Red markers highlighted sections deemed structurally inefficient by the Guild's standards. High Architect Vex'larn of the Zephyrian Collective floated forward, his crystalline body refracting light in prismatic patterns. "Your designs are biologically primitive," he said, voice like shattering glass. "Your ships waste energy on redundant systems. Your weapons rely on crude kinetic force. Your cities lack harmonic resonance shielding." Elias clenched his jaw. He'd seen this coming. For months, the Guild had been sending advisors to Earth, poking through their shipyards, scanning their defense grids, always with that same condescending tone. "The Federation Council has voted unanimously," Krell announced, mandibles clicking. "Humanity will undergo mandatory structural upgrades. Your military assets will be refitted to galactic standards. Your cities will be retrofitted for optimal efficiency." Murmurs rippled through the assembly. A tentacled delegate from the Octavian Reach pulsed with amusement. A swarm of tiny drone-like beings from the Mechanus Conclave buzzed in approval. Elias took a slow breath. "And if we refuse?" Vex'larn's crystalline facets darkened. "Then Earth will face sanctions, trade embargoes, exclusion from protected shipping lanes." Krell's bioluminescence flared again. "You will be isolated, vulnerable." The hologram shifted, showing a sleek, organic-looking warship, a Guild-approved redesign of a human destroyer. Gone were the angular armor plates, the visible weapon turrets, in their place smooth curves and glowing energy conduits. "These are improvements," Vex'larn said. "Your species will finally be brought up to galactic standards." Elias studied the hologram. He saw the missing point. Defense cannons, the thinner armor, the lack of secondary reactors. He'd spent 20 years in the Earth defense fleet. He knew what made a warship survive. "And how long do we have to comply?" he asked, keeping his voice neutral. 6 standard cycles, Krell said. "The first Guild teams will arrive at your major shipyards tomorrow." A Zephyrian delegate near the front emitted a high-pitched chime, their version of laughter. "Don't look so grim, soft skin. You'll thank us when your ships no longer rattle apart during warp transitions." Elias ignored the jab. He tapped a command into his wrist console, transmitting the mandate back to Earth Command. The response came almost immediately, a single coded phrase blinking on his display. "Titan protocol active." He allowed himself a small, tight smile. "Very well," he said, looking up at the assembled delegates. "Earth will comply with the Guild's improvements." Vex'larn's facets shimmered with satisfaction. "Wise decision. Your species has much to learn." "Oh, we're learning," Elias murmured as he turned to leave the podium. The chamber's acoustics carried his next words just far enough. "And so will you." The walk back to the human delegation's pod felt longer than usual. Alien eyes followed him, some curious, most dismissive. None of them noticed the data packet he'd embedded in the Guild's transmission, a tiny, undetectable fragment of code, a backdoor, a warning. As the chamber doors sealed behind him, Elias activated his comlink. Vance to Hayes. They took the bait. Dr. Lisa Hayes's voice crackled through, accompanied by the familiar hum of a shipyard in the background. About damn time. How long do we have? 6 cycles until they start tearing apart our fleet. Elias stepped into the transit pod, the doors hissing shut. Make sure the Titan's ready. Lisa's laugh was sharp, edged with defiance. Oh, she is ready. Let the architects try to improve her. The pod accelerated toward the docking bay, leaving the grand assembly hall behind. Somewhere in its gleaming corridors, the Guild's architects were already celebrating their victory. Elias cracked his knuckles, the organic ones and the cybernetic. The game was just beginning. The orbital shipyards of Earth buzzed with activity, but not the kind Dr. Lisa Hayes was used to. She stood on the observation deck, her coffee-stained lab coat fluttering in the artificial breeze as she watched the UESN Defiance. Once a proud, angular warship bristling with railguns and missile pods, being reshaped by alien nano-forges. The sleek, organic curves creeping over its hull made her stomach turn. Beautiful, isn't it? Lisa didn't turn as Architect Prime Zix floated beside her, his geometric form shifting between perfect polygons. Light refracted through his crystalline body, casting prismatic patterns across the deck. Beautiful, Lisa echoed, her voice flat. If you like your warships neutered, Zix pulsed with amusement. Your species clings to inefficiency, kinetic weapons, solid armor, so primitive. A tendril of light extended toward the Defiance, where a team of Zeperian engineers worked. We've harmonized your systems. No more crude explosions, no more wasteful bulk, just precision. Lisa's fingers tightened around her datapad. She'd spent years designing the Defiance's armor matrix, layered composites that could shrug off plasma fire. Now, it was being replaced with some adaptive energy, diffusing lattice. She'd read the specs. It was garbage. A chime sounded, and Zix shimmered. The first test. Below, the Defiance powered up, its new improved weapons humming to life. Instead of the deep, resonant thrum of railgun capacitors, there was a high-pitched whine. Lisa's jaw clenched. On the projection screen, a target drone floated in the void. The Defiance fired. A thin beam of blue energy lanced out, clean, elegant, and utterly useless. The drone's shields flared, absorbing the hit without so much as a flicker. See, Zix said. No unnecessary destruction, just enough force to disable, not annihilate. Lisa stared at the screen. That wouldn't scratch a Tarkalan patrol skiff. Of course not, Zix replied, as if explaining to a child. The point isn't to destroy, it's to comply. A shadow passed over Lisa's face. She turned to the Zeperian engineers overseeing the refit. What about the Titan? When does it get its upgrades? Zix pulsed again. Soon. But that relic is particularly stubborn. Your people built it like a battering ram, so uncivilized. Lisa forced a smile. Yeah, we're real barbarians. She walked away before he could reply, her boots echoing on the deck. The corridors of the shipyard were crowded with alien technicians and sullen human engineers. She caught snippets of conversation, grumbles about useless energy weapons, complaints about stripped armor. At the end of the hall, Commander Elias Vance leaned against a bulkhead, his cybernetic arm folded across his chest. His scarred face was unreadable. Well, he murmured as she approached. Lisa handed him the datapad. It's worse than we thought. They're not just upgrading us, they're lobotomizing us. Elias scrolled through the schematics, his expression darkening. No kinetics, No nukes, just these stun beams. They call it harmonized warfare. Lisa snorted. More like surrender with extra steps. Elias looked up, his eyes scanning the shipyard. And the Titan, still in dry dock. They haven't touched her yet. Good. Elias lowered his voice. Because we're not letting them. Lisa blinked. What? Elias tapped his wrist comm, and a map flickered to life, a lunar coordinate, deep in the old mining tunnels. Meet me here tonight. Bring anyone you trust. Lisa hesitated. Elias, if they catch us, they won't. His cybernetic fingers clenched. And even if they do, I'd rather go down fighting than let them turn us into pacified puppets. A Zephyrian overseer drifted past, its crystalline body glinting. Elias straightened, his face smoothing into neutrality. Think about it, he said, just loud enough for the alien to hear. The upgrades are more efficient. Lisa played along, nodding. Efficient for dying. The overseer moved on, oblivious. Elias waited until it was gone before meeting Lisa's eyes again. Tonight, don't be late. Then he was gone, melting into the crowd. Lisa exhaled, her fingers tightening around the datapad. She looked back at the Defiance, now barely recognizable, efficient for dying. She wondered if Six even realized how right she was. The simulated starfield flickered to life across the bridge viewports. As the UESN Atlantica powered up its improved systems, Captain Ryan Blake cracked his knuckles, the familiar weight of his flight suit feeling wrong somehow, like wearing someone else's skin. Across the holographic tactical display, the sleek silver forms of Tarkellan wargame evaluators shimmered into position. Remember, Admiral Vosk's rasping voice came through the comm, his 4 eyes blinking in sequence on the view screen. This is merely a demonstration of your compliance. No need for excessive maneuvers. Blake forced a smile. Wouldn't dream of it, Admiral. Behind him, Lieutenant Cho muttered under his breath. Excessive maneuvers. Like dodging is a fucking crime now. The Atlantica shuddered as its new harmonized engines engaged. No more throaty roar of old-fashioned fusion drives, just a whisper, thin hum that made Blake's teeth ache. The ship accelerated smoothly, too smoothly, like it was gliding on rails instead of punching through space. Engagement zone in 30 seconds, announced the ship's AI, another upgrade that sounded disturbingly cheerful. Recommended tactical pattern, formation Delta 7. Blake ignored it. Guns, give me manual control on the port batteries. The weapons officer hesitated. Sir, the new protocol state. I didn't ask what the damn protocol state. Manual control now. The first Tarkellan fighters streaked into range, their organic-looking hulls twisting through space with unnatural grace. Blake's fingers danced across the controls, or tried to. The targeting system lagged, the reticle dragging behind his inputs like it was moving through syrup. Fire. The Atlantica's new pulse cannons discharged with a sound like a sigh. Gentle blue beams licked out, splashing harmlessly against the Tarkellan shields. Direct hit, chirped the AI. Target integrity at Fey. On the view screen, Vosk's mouthparts twitched in what Blake knew was amusement. An admirable effort, Captain. Perhaps next time you'll trust our targeting algorithms. The second wave came in faster. Blake wrenched the controls, trying to roll the Atlantica into evasive action. The ship responded sluggishly, its streamlined curves betraying none of the brutal responsiveness of its original design. Impact port side, Cho shouted, as simulated damage warnings flared across the boards. Evasive pattern, automated systems engaging, the AI interrupted. The Atlantica smoothly pivoted, presenting its least damaged flank to the enemy. And its unarmed belly, Blake slammed his fist on the override. Cancel that, Cho. Get me too late. The Tarkellan flagship, Claw of Enlightenment, loomed into view. Its main weapon, a spiraling energy projector, glowed ominously. Simulated kill shot registered. the AI announced pleasantly. Shall we reset the exercise? Silence on the bridge. Blake could feel his crew's humiliation like a physical weight. Voska's image reappeared, all four eyes gleaming. A most instructive demonstration. Your compliance with the new standards is adequate. Blake forced his voice steady. We followed your designs to the letter. Admiral, indeed. And now you see the wisdom. No more erratic maneuvers. No more unpredictable violence. Vosk's mandibles clicked. Your species is finally becoming safe for the galaxy. The comm channel closed, leaving Blake staring at the tactical display, at the Atlantica's pathetic performance metrics scrolling endlessly downward. Cho broke the silence first. Safe for them, you mean? Blake didn't answer. His eyes were fixed on one tiny readout the evaluators had missed. A power fluctuation in the Atlantica's secondary systems, right where Dr. Hayes' team had accidentally left a few old-fashioned circuit breakers in place. He allowed himself a small, private smile. Safe for them, he agreed softly. For now. The bridge crew exchanged glances as Blake stood, his chair creaking under his weight. Another thing the improvements hadn't managed to fix. All right, people, he said, voice dropping to a growl. Let's go see how badly they butchered our engines. As the crew dispersed, Blake lingered just long enough to tap a hidden command into his console. The screen flickered, revealing a single line of text in Old Earth code. Titan status, standby, awaiting orders. He erased it with a swipe, whistling tunelessly as he strode off the bridge. The evaluators could have their little victory today. Tomorrow belonged to humanity. The dim red lighting of the lunar bunker flickered as the air recyclers struggled against decades of disuse. Commander Elias Vance's cybernetic fingers tapped impatiently against the rusted metal table, the sound echoing in the cavernous space. Around him, a dozen engineers in stained jumpsuits huddled over blueprints, their faces drawn but determined. Coffee cups littered every surface, half empty and long gone cold. Dr. Lisa Hayes slammed a wrench down on the table, making the others jump. They gutted us, she spat, her voice raw with fury, tore out every last piece of real engineering and replaced it with their harmonized garbage. She gestured wildly at a holographic schematic of the UESN Defiance, its once proud railguns now replaced with sleek, useless energy projectors. You saw what happened at Proxima. We might as well have been throwing rocks at them. Captain Ryan Blake leaned against the wall, arms crossed. His flight suit was still streaked with coolant from the Atlantica's humiliating defeat. Vosk looked like he was about to pat us on the head, he muttered. Now you're safe for the galaxy, like we were some kind of pets. A soft chime at the door made everyone tense. Elias' hand went to his sidearm, but Lisa waved him off. It's her. The door slid open with a groan, revealing a slender figure wrapped in a too large environmental cloak. The Zephyrian technician, Rill, hesitated in the doorway, her crystalline body dimmed to near opacity, a sign of fear among her kind. I wasn't followed, she said quietly, a voice like wind chimes. Blake raised an eyebrow. You sure about that, Sparkles? Rill's form flickered with irritation. I disabled 3 trackers on my way here. Your improved security systems are laughable. She stepped inside, shedding the cloak to reveal the Guild's insignia hastily scraped off her chest plating. I didn't sign up to turn your species into target practice. Lisa snorted. Welcome to the club. She tossed Rill a datapad. Tell me you brought something useful. Rill's fingers danced over the screen, pulling up schematics the humans had never seen. The Guild's real plans, they weren't just upgrading you, they were studying you. Every improvement was a test to see how much you'd tolerate before breaking. Her voice dropped. They're scared of you. Elias leaned forward. Of us, they've been treating us like children. Exactly, Rill said. Children grow up. She tapped the pad, and a new image flared to life. A warship, angular and brutal, its design untouched by alien hands. You kept one, didn't you? Lisa's grin was sharp. Follow me. The group moved deeper into the bunker, through corridors lined with decades, old warning signs and blast doors sealed with manual locks. At the final door, Lisa pressed her palm to a rusted scanner. The system groaned in protest before the locks disengaged with a hiss of depressurization. Beyond lay the UESN Titan. It was a relic, a beautiful relic. Unlike the sleek, gutted ships in Earth's orbit, the Titan was all hard edges and reinforced plating, its railgun batteries still intact, its armor layered with old-school tungsten plating. Blake let out a low whistle. You beautiful bastard. Lisa ran a hand along the hull, her fingers leaving trails in the dust. We told the guild she was lost in transit during the upgrades. They never even asked to see the wreckage. She turned to the others, her eyes blazing. They think they neutered us. But the Titan shares pure human engineering. No harmonized weak points, no efficient compromises. Elias crossed to the main terminal, booting up systems that hadn't been activated in months. Screens flickered to life, displaying weapon diagnostics, engine outputs, all of it untouched. How long to get her battle ready? 3 days, Lisa said. Maybe less if Rill helps us bypass the guild's lockouts. The Zephyrian hesitated. If I do this, I can't go back. Blake clapped her on the shoulder, making her flinch. Look at it this way, Sparkles. You'll be on the winning side for once. Rill's form pulsed with something like amusement. Fine. But I want one thing. Name it, Elias said. She pointed at the Titan's main cannon. When the time comes, I want to fire that. Lisa's grin turned feral. Oh, you'll get your shot. She turned to the others, raising her voice. Listen up, the guild thinks they've got us on a leash. Time to show them what happens when you pull. The engineers cheered, their voices echoing off the Titan's hull. Somewhere deep in the ship, an old reactor hummed to life, its power core thrumming with energy that hadn't been felt in months. Human energy, unfiltered, unbroken. The Titan drifted silently in the void, its blackened hull absorbing the faint starlight. Inside the bridge, Captain Ryan Blake cracked his knuckles, his eyes locked on the tactical display. The alien fleet shimmered in the distance, their sleek, improved human ships flanking the massive Harmony's light like obedient pets. All systems green, Lisa Hayes reported, her fingers dancing across the console. Kinetic batteries charged, armor plating at full integrity, and she smirked. Those harmonized energy dampeners they installed, disabled. Elias Vance leaned forward in the gunnery chair, his cybernetic arm whirring as it synced with the targeting systems. They really thought we'd just roll over, huh? Blake chuckled. Oh, they're about to learn real quick. Aboard the Harmony's light, High Architect Vex'larn admired the fleet through the crystalline viewport. His form shimmered with satisfaction. Observe, he said to Overseer Krell, his voice resonating like chimes. Perfection. The humans finally understand efficiency. Krell's bioluminescent veins pulsed in agreement. Their ships move as one with ours. No more erratic maneuvers. No more messiness. Then the alarms blared. A tactical officer, a young Zephyrian named Rill, stared at his screen in disbelief. Architect, unknown contact. His voice faltered. It's human. Vex'larn's crystalline body flickered with irritation. Impossible. All their ships are accounted for. The Titan powered up, its engines roaring to life. Across its hull, armored plates shifted, revealing rows of railgun ports. The alien fleet's sensors lit up with warnings, target locks, power surges, actual weapons systems. On the bridge of the Atlantica, Admiral Vosk's 4 eyes widened. What is that? Blake's voice crackled over the comms, smooth and deadly. "Morning, boys. Miss us?" The Titan fired. A railgun slug the size of a shuttle tore through the Atlantica's starboard flank. The sleek, improved armor crumpled like paper. Emergency lights flashed as the ship listed violently. Voss screamed orders. "Return fire. All ships target that." Another slug, another explosion. The Defiance took a hit to its engines, its harmonized beam weapons sputtering uselessly. Lisa whooped as the Titan's systems reported impact after impact. "They're scrambling. Their shields can't handle kinetic force." Elias grinned, lining up another shot. "Told you they built these things too soft." Aboard the Harmony's light, chaos erupted. Vex'larn's form vibrated with panic. How is this possible? Their weapons were removed. Rill swallowed hard. They must have kept one ship unchanged. Krell snarled, his veins flaring red. "Deploy the fleet. Crush that relic." The alien ships surged forward, their formations tight, their movement synchronized. "Beautiful, predictable." Blake smirked. "Lisa, remember that little trick we talked about?" She punched in a command. "Oh, I remember." The Titan rotated sharply, its thrusters flaring. Instead of retreating, it charged straight at the heart of the alien fleet. Vex'larn's voice cracked. "They're ramming." The Titan's reinforced prow slammed into a Zephyrian cruiser. Metal screamed. The alien ship split down the middle, its halves spinning away in a shower of sparks. Elias whooped. "That's how we do it." Alien comms erupted with panic. "Shields failing. We can't stop it. Fall back." Blake opened a fleet, wide channel, his voice dripping with sarcasm. "You wanted efficiency. Let me show you human efficiency." The Titan unleashed hell. Railguns thundered. Missile pods emptied. The alien ships, so proud, so perfect, burned like candles in a hurricane. The Harmony's light took a direct hit to its command spire, sending Vex'larn tumbling to the deck. Krell roared, "Focus fire. Bring that monstrosity down." A dozen alien beams lanced toward the Titan. They splashed harmlessly against its layered armor. Lisa laughed. They really thought energy weapons would work on us twice. Blake spun the ship, lining up the final shot. "Elias, you got that big gun ready?" Elias cracked his neck. "Oh yeah." The Titan's main railgun charged, its magnetic coils humming. The targeting reticle settled over the Harmony's light. Vex'larn looked up just in time to see death coming. The slug hit dead center. The flagship's elegant hull imploded, its crystalline spires shattering like glass silence. Then, across the battlefield, the remaining alien ships powered down their weapons, their comms filled with static, then surrender codes. Blake leaned back, satisfied. Now that's an improvement. The Titan roared through the void like a beast unleashed, its blackened hull swallowing starlight as it carved through the alien formation. Inside the bridge, Captain Blake gripped the command console, knuckles white. The holographic display flickered with red markers. Dozens of sleek, improved Federation ships turning to engage. "All weapons hot," Blake barked. "Lisa, give me full power to the old girl's teeth." Dr. Hayes didn't look up from her console, fingers dancing across the interface. Railguns charged armor plating at Faye. They won't know what hit them. Elias Vance stood at the tactical station, his cybernetic arm whirring as it synced with the ship's targeting systems. "First volley's ready. Let's remind them why they feared us." The Harmony's light, Vex'larn's crystalline flagship, shimmered ahead, its smooth curves reflecting the distant sun. A hailing frequency crackled to life. "Human vessel Titan," Vex'larn's voice echoed, cold and precise. "You are in violation of Galactic Architectural Compliance. Power down and surrender, or be dismantled." Blake smirked. "Yeah, About that. He nodded to Elias. Fire. The Titan shuddered as its railguns unleashed hell. Tungsten slugs the size of freight trains screamed across the void, punching clean through the first line of alien cruisers. Shields meant to diffuse energy weapons shattered like glass. Hulls split open, venting atmosphere and bodies into the dark. On the Harmony's light, alarms wailed. Vex'larn's crystalline form flickered with panic. Impossible, their weapons were outdated. Blake cut in over the comms. You bet, and that is why they work. The Titan banked hard, evading a salvo of harmonized plasma fire. The alien beams glanced off its layered armor, scattering harmlessly into space. Lisa whooped. They can't even scratch us. Elias locked onto the next target, a Vorak dreadnought, its bioluminescent veins pulsing as it lumbered into position. Big guys powering up. Looks like they brought the heavy toys. Blake grinned. Let's see how heavy they stay. The Titan accelerated. Engines screaming, the dreadnought fired. A massive energy lance meant to slice ships in half. The Titan rolled, the beam grazing its flank. Warning lights flared, but the armor held. Close enough, Blake muttered. Elias gave him a taste of human engineering. The Titan's forward kinetic batteries fired point blank. The slugs tore through the dreadnought's belly, detonating its reactor core. The explosion lit up the battlefield, casting long shadows over the remaining alien ships. On the bridge of the Harmony's light, Vex'larn's composure shattered. All ships, concentrate fire, destroy that monstrosity. The alien fleet regrouped, their formations tightening. Dozens of sleek vessels turned their weapons on the Titan, firing in unison. The void lit up with plasma and particle beams. Inside the Titan, the crew braced. The ship rocked under the barrage, but the old armor held. Lisa's console blared warnings, shields at Faye, but we're holding, they're not used to something that fights back. Blake wiped sweat from his brow. Time to show them what real human efficiency looks like. He opened a channel to engineering, prepped the planet. Cracker. Elias's head snapped up. You sure about that? Blake's grin was feral. Oh, I'm sure, just one for emphasis. Deep in the Titan's belly, a warhead older than the Federation itself powered up. A relic from humanity's early wars, built to shatter continents. The targeting computer locked onto a barren moon drifting near the battlefield. Fire. The warhead launched, a dark streak against the stars. It struck the moon dead center for a heartbeat. Nothing happened. Then the moon shattered. The shockwave rippled outward, sending debris hurtling through the alien fleet. Ships were crushed, others sent spinning out of control. The Harmony's light barely avoided a chunk of rock the size of a city. Silence fell over the battlefield. Blake leaned into the comms. That, Architect, is what happens when you try to improve us. Vex'larn's voice trembled. You barbarians. Lisa laughed. Damn right. The Titan powered forward, its railguns cycling for another volley. The alien fleet broke. Ships turned, engines flaring as they fled. The Harmony's light was the last to go, its crystalline hull cracked and flickering. Blake watched them run, satisfaction curling in his chest. Elias, send a message to Earth Command. Tell them the Titan just renegotiated our terms with the galaxy. Elias nodded, already typing. What terms? Blake leaned back in his chair. Simple. They leave our ships alone, or we leave nothing. The Titan hung in the void, surrounded by the wreckage of its enemies. For the first time in months, humanity's name meant something again. Respect and the unshakable truth. You didn't fix humans, you survived them. The Grand Assembly Hall was silent. The holographic star maps flickered above, casting shifting blue light over the gathered delegates. Elias Vance stood at the central podium, his cybernetic arm gleaming under the chamber's glow. This time, he wasn't dwarfed by the towering Vorak overseers. This time, they leaned back in their pods, their bioluminescent veins pulsing erratically. High Architect Vex'larn's crystalline body reflected the replay of the Titan's rampage. The unaltered human warship tearing through the improved fleet-like paper. The footage looped, railgun slugs punching through Zephyrian cruisers, the Titan's armored prow shearing the Harmony's light in half, and finally, the planet cracker warhead detonating harmlessly in deep space, just to prove they could have used it. Elias let the silence stretch. Then he reached into his jacket and dropped a data chip onto the podium. It clattered, the sound echoing through the chamber. "Next time you improve us," he said, his voice calm. "Ask first." Overseer Krell's massive fists clenched. His bioluminescence flared red anger or maybe fear. This was not the agreed upon compliance. Lisa Hayes, standing beside Elias in her coffee-stained lab coat, snorted. "Compliance? You gutted our ships, turned our weapons into fireworks." She tapped the data chip. "That's every schematic you forced on us, and next to it, what we actually kept." The holograms shifted, showing the USN Defiance and Atlantica in Earth's orbit, their sleek alien curves peeling away as human engineers welded old armor plating back on. Railgun turrets snapped into place, replacing the harmonized beams. Admiral Vosk's 4 eyes darted between the images. "You deceived the Guild." Captain Blake, leaning against the podium with his usual cocky grin, shrugged. "Nah, we just didn't trust you." He pointed at the Titan's footage. "Turns out we were right." A murmur ran through the delegates. The insectoid Tarkalans clicked their mandibles nervously. The gelatinous Quorath delegates rippled, their translucent bodies flushing with unease. Only Rill, the defecting Zephyrian technician, stood with the humans, his crystalline facets dim with shame. Vex'larn's voice crackled, his usual smugness gone. "The Guild acted for the greater harmony of the galaxy. Your designs were inefficient, wasteful." Elias' scarred face didn't twitch. "Our wasteful designs kept us alive for centuries. You turned them into target practice." He stepped closer to Vex'larn's pod. "Tell me, Architect, how efficient was your fleet against one unaltered human ship?" The chamber's temperature seemed to drop. The holograms froze on the Titan's final salvo, a railgun slug tearing through a Vorak dreadnought's core. Overseer Krell finally spoke, his voice a deep rumble. "What do you want?" Lisa smiled. "Simple. You leave our tech alone. No upgrades, no improvements." She crossed her arms. "And you give us a seat on the Guild." The delegates erupted. A Cerelian delegate's floating orbs spun wildly. "Preposterous. Humans lack the understanding." Elias cut in. "Funny, we understood your perfect ships well enough to dismantle them in 6 minutes." Blake chuckled. 7, if you count the time it took to laugh at them." Silence again. Then slowly Vex'larn's crystalline form dimmed submission. "The Guild will consider the proposal." Elias nodded. "Good." He turned to leave, then paused. "Oh, and one more thing." He tapped the data chip. "This includes our analysis of your ships. Turns out, we found some flaws." The Zephyrian's facets went pale. Lisa grinned. "Don't worry, we're not barbarians. We'll ask before we fix them." As the humans walked out, the chamber erupted behind them. Arguments, threats, panic. Blake whistled. "Think they'll actually give us the seat?" Elias glanced back at the chaos. "Doesn't matter. They won't touch our ships again." Outside, the UESN Titan waited in orbit, its brutal, unaltered frame, a shadow against Earth's. Blue glow, the galaxy learned. You don't fix humans, you survive them.